Greetings! Just stopped off here at this beautiful little spot called Wildhorse Meadows in the Rogue River-Siskiyou National Forest in southwestern Oregon. It's an absolutely beautiful, almost idyllic little spot. Just down the road from the Wildhorse Lookout. If you're driving up the Rogue River from Gold Beach, you will at some point see the sign that says Wildhorse Lookout, 10 miles. You come on up here. Not only is there the lookout you could hike up to, there's a little itty-bitty campground right next to it, and this incredibly beautiful meadow, Wildhorse Meadows. Loaded with ferns all over the place. A little breezy up here on the top, but it's an incredibly cool little spot. You're up here on this sort of ridge. It's very quiet. There's not much out here. And the Rogue River would be down the hill out that direction. Very, very stunning location up here when the vistas that are possible. The campground and lookout are just over there, just almost out of sight. I mean, the edge of the campground is basically the edge of the trees right there, so you can just walk right from your campsite straight into the meadow. Of course, on that edge of the meadow over there, you can see the beautiful vistas south out towards the Kalmiopsis wilderness and off into northern California, which is not that far away. You can probably see it from here. So pretty up here, quiet. A little bit of a breeze being a ridgetop, but there's quartz all over the ground, which I find fascinating. But this area is rich with geology, and there's extensive mining history out in this area, and lots of this region in general. But there's a reason why. It's because there's minerals everywhere, and if you understand basics of geology and gold finding, this right here is a sign that there might be gold nearby. Quartz and gold are often found together. What's also found out here, interestingly, if you'll see right here, is this is a little desiccated dead one, but it's a little millipede. And I don't know if it's the yellow and black ones that we have in Northern California, but I don't know if they extend up into Southern Oregon here. But they're really interesting. Apparently they're toxic and slightly bioluminescent, which I never knew. Kind of interesting stuff. But the geology here is so fascinating. There's tons of this stuff. But mixed in is little desiccated bits of bug, but with yarrow and the ferns and, oh, just the green. It's so beautiful up here. It's sort of slate-like rock, I guess you could call it. But I was just coming up on the recommendation of someone to check out the campground. I didn't even know there was a campground up here. There's no sign for it. So you really wouldn't know that there is a campground up here. And it's not a bad little campground. It's tiny, 4 sites, vault toilet, no water, no garbage, no nothing. I didn't even read a single bar of cell service. So you're up here, you're isolated. I was also warned to be bear aware, and that makes sense. You're in the woods. There's still just little bits of quartz everywhere. There's another little chunk poking up right down there. But I just had no idea. I figured I'd see, oh, there's the campground. Okay, I figured there'd be tons of people up here, but it's not exactly the easiest drive. I don't know if I'm necessarily going to be dragging the trailer up here. You do have to do some gravel. So if you don't have a good spare, I would say don't try it. But it's very, very pretty. A lot of flies. It's July. There's lots of flies. But there's all sorts of little greenery. See all these little purple flowers and the ferns and the yellow and the yarrow, and oh, it's beautiful. It's so quiet too. That's what's I'm absolutely and I'm loving the quiet after spending 2 weeks in a commercial campground with just non-stop noise all day, all night. And of course the intrusions into my campsite, people just helping themselves to it, walking right through it like they don't even care, being indignant when I ask them to please not help themselves to my campsite. Like, that's not going to happen if I come out here. So maybe some gravel, but I still might be tempted to go ahead and give this a shot. It's so beautiful, and of course it's public land, so 14-day stay. Basically stay until the water runs out, I would think. And the campground, again, it's just right here. I just about see it. You can see the road starting to poke out. I'm sure in the fall this is really popular with hunters. But there's elk and deer grazing through here like crazy. Absolutely. Wide open country is perfect for grazing. Just want to get a little bit farther down so you can actually see the proximity of the road and the campground. It's so gorgeous, and of course the vistas over here, and not exactly a long distance hiker anymore these days, so this little bit was enough for me, but I would love to have hiked all the way around there and get all the way to the edge of the clearings around here and maybe even spot the Rogue River if you can see it from up here. But this is such a cool little spot. I just love it. I just love it first sight. See, you can see the campground right there. That's it. I mean, one of the sites backs up to that edge of shade right there, and you can almost make out the green of the vault toilet ceiling right there, or roof. And these two signs down here say, please respect the landscape and the sensitive vegetation, foot traffic only. And they've got rocks all along this side at least to keep people from driving large vehicles or smallish vehicles in here, but a big rig could get over that. But why would you want to drive out across this when you can have a peaceful, quiet little stroll on foot and get to take in some of these beautiful, beautiful vistas and landscapes without any disruption or noise? Oh, I love it. Definitely going to come back here. And if I do, I'll bring you along with me. But for now, I want to thank you for joining me on this visit to enjoy these incredibly beautiful verdant meadows and the high country above the Rogue River. Perfect July weather. And, as you saw earlier, as always, ants.